So what's up, guys? As most of you may know, I am a Steelers fan, and I know I have this Cavaliers cap on. They're my favorite basketball team since Pittsburgh doesn't have a team. But with that out of regard, I just want to congratulate the Green Bay Packers on this win. I mean, they're a good football team. They work hard, and they earned it. I mean, there's no way of denying that. They're just the better team. But I'm here to talk about the Steelers' woes because, as some of you know, and as most of you probably have assumed, they are very, very bad. So think of it this way. You have an aging quarterback who can barely throw the ball most of the time. You have an offensive line that's super young, and even still, with the expectation of being bad, is still being seen as worse than what they were supposed to be. You have an offensive coordinator who used to be the quarterback's coach, and they don't plan on changing anything. And the only thing you have done in the offseason is drafted a running back who, yes, Najee Harris is going to be a great running back in this league, but he is not somebody who is just going to turn this team around without an offensive line, and he can't do much this year. There's nothing he can do about this team situation. So first, there are many problems with this team. And the first thing that I saw in this game is Ben Roethlisberger. He started off 45-yard dime to Deontay Johnson. I was very excited. That was the only lead we had this season, aside from the very end of the Buffalo Bills game. But other than that, Ben Roethlisberger is overthrowing his targets, he's overthrowing his receivers. When he's not overthrowing them, he's underthrowing them, or he's throwing the ball to where the receiver was instead of where the receiver is going. Or, most importantly, he's throwing the ball too high. That's what you see a lot with these dump-off passes to Najee Harris, which, by the way, 4th down and 4, right? This game is still alive. There's still a chance in your professional football team. You have to try to be in games. You have to try until there is 0 minutes and 0 seconds left on the clock, and it is either the end of the 4th quarter or overtime is over with. The game is over. But what do? Just like last week, 4th down and 10 against the Bengals, throw a pass to Najee Harris behind the line of scrimmage, and he gets swarmed. 4th and 4, what do? Pass the ball to the right side, behind the line of scrimmage to Najee Harris. It's almost like we learned nothing, guys. Wow, we learned absolutely nothing. Matt Canada's play calling is terrible, and part of it has to do with Ben Roethlisberger. They feel like he can't do anything, and obviously, he is a shell of his former self, and when he plays well at this point in his career, he is a game manager at best, and that is a scary statement. And there is no shame in losing to the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. I expected this to happen. Even if the Steelers are full strength, I expect this to happen. But what is not okay is they give up. The play calling stinks. They refuse to use the middle of the field. And when they do, Ben overthrows it. It's terrible. We hardly ever utilize our tight end. We paid Derek Watt. What for? He's been in a grand total of 2 plays this year. He's been used once. Okay? And the only time we ever have ran the ball directly up the middle with Najee Harris lined up behind Ben Roethlisberger, I saw that twice this game. And I've seen it less than 10 times this entire season. He is a power back. He's not James Conner. He's not Le'Veon Bell. Why are we using him in inside zone plays? It's so uncreative. It's so predictable. And it is immensely painful to watch this team. Matt Canada is the same thing as Randy Fichtner, except he doesn't call stupid wildcat plays out of the blue. So literally, somehow he's better. And he's not even great at all. I absolutely despise his play calling. And that just shows how terrible Randy Fichtner was. That shows how stubborn this organization is and how everything has to be the Steeler way and the standard is the standard. It's great that we have a winning culture overall. But this is not the 1970s, okay? We can't have Terry Bradshaw come back in and play quarterback for us again. Like, we have to adapt to the modern NFL, and that's something that we do not do, and that's why we find ourselves falling behind. Why do we not have a true backup plan for Ben Roethlisberger? He's been debating retirement for 5 years, and the best thing you did was draft Mason Rudolph in the 3rd round of the 2017 draft. That is unacceptable. That is something that you simply cannot do. Now, Dwayne Haskins, there's a chance he could be the replacement. We don't truly know. Odds are he's not. But unlike Mason Rudolph, we do not have a definitive answer towards that. So that leads me to my next point. Benching Ben Roethlisberger. Should we do that? Honestly, it wouldn't make much of a difference at all. But if we did do it, I would only want to do that for Dwayne Haskins. There's no point in putting in Mason Rudolph other than the fact that he is slightly faster. He is a little bit taller, but he's not the long-term future. So if you're going to put him in, you might as well keep Ben in and give him his one last ride, even though it's just going to be a losing season. This is going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. Things can turn around, but look at our schedule. We play the Broncos in Denver. We play Seattle on Sunday Night Football, and then we play Cleveland, right? We should lose all 3 of those games. Even if we win 1, then we're 2-4. We have the hardest schedule in the league. And even though there's no shame in losing to the Packers, we looked bad. Like, other than that first drive, which honestly, it was probably only a touchdown because the Packers defense, stalled because of the offsides penalty. That's probably the only reason why Deontay Johnson was even able to catch that ball to begin with and get ahead of the defender. But we don't know that for sure. But we just can't do anything. We scored an extra touchdown in garbage time. Wow. And if you count that play to Minkah Fitzpatrick, which I was mad about because I love Minkah Fitzpatrick. And people say that Minkah, he's not a good safety. No, people are afraid to throw the ball his way. That's why he hardly ever sees any action. He just shuts down that section of the field that you can throw to because it's Minkah Fitzpatrick. But he blocked the kick, and he returned it for a touchdown, and they tried to claim that Joe Hayden was offsides. And don't get me wrong, I like to be a very honest Steelers fan. This team's not going to the Super Bowl. This team's not going to the playoffs, okay? And this wouldn't have impacted the game at all, but in my opinion, that was just a good play by Joe Hayden, and the refs were just so, they didn't know what to think of it, so they just threw the penalty flag, like they do with pass interference a lot of the time. They don't know what to do. It's 50-50, and they just throw the flag, which I completely understand that. I wish we could have challenged it, except we can't because there was less than 2 minutes left, so coaches' challenges aren't available at that point in time. But my next point is the offensive line. Now, they're a young unit, and most of them, it's their first year, and some of them are getting injured, which is scary because if there are starters, I wonder how immensely terrible our backups must be because from a standpoint of normalcy, starters are typically better than backups. Just think about it that way. So you can understand that, how scary that must be. And they're all young, and I didn't expect for them to be good. But wow, it does not help Ben Roethlisberger at all, this is why it's not entirely his fault. It doesn't help Ben Roethlisberger at all that the offensive line cannot block for more than 2 seconds. It doesn't help Najee Harris's development at all if we can barely run the football half the time, and we just have to rely on him falling forward and breaking 5 tackles. That's not optimal. We don't use the middle of the field. We call the same 5 plays. And today I saw a little bit more play calling. That's improvement. The play calling wasn't as bad. But when it comes to clutch time, the play calling is absolutely terrible. And part of it has to do with Ben Roethlisberger, but the other part is just the pure stupidity that I believe Matt Canada and this offense has. They are so stubborn. Mike Tomlin, right? Good head coach. Should we fire him? Absolutely not. But man, it is frustrating that he just doesn't seem to do anything when the game is actually being played. Maybe he does in the locker room, but when the game's being played, he sits there with his sunglasses on, even though it's 25 degrees and snowy, and he just doesn't, there's no emotion. It's not like Bill Cowher, where he would be on someone in the middle of the game. There's absolutely no emotion. And he underperforms the competition so much. And obviously, you can't underperform the competition when you're playing the Green Bay Packers, who are up here. But you can't do that. You can't do that in the NFL and expect to be taken seriously and expect to actually be a true Super Bowl contender. This all started with the mishandling of Le'Veon Bell's situation, okay? You can say he's greedy all you want, and it did ruin his career in a sense. But we could have paid the man $2 to $3 million more to keep him. But we were so stubborn that we didn't. We almost lost TJ Watt like that. He almost got mad at our franchise because we weren't going to extend him, and that is a problem. And Antonio Brown, Steelers organization has nothing to do with that. Getting rid of him was the right idea. But this all went downhill after the 2017 playoff divisional loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have never in my life, and this includes when Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges were the quarterbacks, and Landry Jones, within the past decade, and in my entire life, I have never seen this Steelers team be so lifeless. It's like they don't even try. It's like they're on the field and like, well, I'll do what I have to do, but I already know that they're just going to get the win. That's not how you play football, especially whenever you play a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're on the rise. That was a good victory for them, and I'm in no way saying that they suck, because that would be very hypocritical of me to say, considering that I'm a Steelers fan. But it's like we look at our schedule, and if the team has a losing record, we just say, hey, we can make stupid decisions, we mess around, and we get beat. And we just don't have any sort of brain whatsoever. And the exact opposite happens whenever we play up to competition, which hasn't happened this year. It probably won't happen this year because we don't have the ability to do that because we're not just a good team in general. And that's the other thing too. Our defense, right? Great game against the Bills. I can't blame them for all the injuries. You should be able to play through adversity, next man up. I like that mentality. But at the end of the day, when you lose TJ Watt and Devin Bush and Joe Hayden, yes, your defense is going to suffer from that, and I get that. And they have sort of a pass for that. Not completely, but sort of. You can give them sort of like a mini pass for that. But today, did they stop Aaron Rodgers? No. This is supposed to be a top 5 defense, and I get it. They're on the field a lot. But they do not stop Aaron Rodgers. Ben turned the ball over once in garbage time. Was it a bad play? Yes. But at the end of the day, it was garbage time. It doesn't matter. Just like that one touchdown that we got in garbage time to make it 27-17. Doesn't matter, okay? This game, the Steelers were in it for most of the time, but they were never, ever, ever in control after the first drive of the game. They were never in control. They were just simply there. And I feel like that's all you're going to get out of this football team. There's nothing you can really do. And honestly, just the way it looks, Cameron Hayward was injured. Devin Bush got injured. He was able to walk off the field on his own, thankfully. Prayers to them. Prayers to everyone in the NFL that gets injured. You hate seeing that. They're playing the sport that they love and they get injured. That sucks. But this defense, it's like they lost a sort of passion because they just look at this offense and they see how abysmal it is. And then they're forced to be on the field for 80% of the game. And obviously that takes a toll on you because it's football. It is a rough sport to play on the human body. So it's affecting them psychologically in a way. I don't even know how to describe it, but I can't be the only one that's noticing that. But this Steelers team, man, they could easily be 1-6 3 weeks from now, and they just are not a good football team. And you could see this ever since their management has decided that they're just not going to change. They don't change with the structure of the NFL. The game is revolutionary. It keeps changing. And that's something the Steelers don't do. Unless if your name's Tom Brady, then you have to be a mobile quarterback in the NFL to succeed. We should have moved on from Ben Roethlisberger at the end of last year because ever since that Ravens game around Thanksgiving time, he has declined so drastically. And he's a Hall of Famer, and I love that man, but his time is up. It is most definitely up. There is no way that Ben Roethlisberger is anything more than a game manager at best, and that's being nice. He isn't even a game manager at best. He's just someone who, he might throw you a touchdown, and if the defense plays exceptionally well, like the Bills game, then they'll win. And even still, if the defense has amazing performance, I have no idea how we beat the Bills. We should be 0-4 right now. We had no business doing that and setting off a tone that we were somehow a good football team. And the Raiders lost. We didn't look like we have any heart. And that's not a bad loss to lose to a team like the Raiders. But, man, it's like we have no heart. We give up. And I don't care how bad you are, you can't do that. The New York Jets beat the Tennessee Titans today. Yes, it was in MetLife Stadium. But they beat the Tennessee Titans. That is they had heart. You cannot do that without heart. With the Steelers' mentality, they would have gone out there and Derrick Henry would have ran for 400 yards against them if the Jets had the mentality that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. So with that being said, I'm a Steelers fan for life, but my goodness, get your stuff together. Please. Thank you.